work, but on the weekend, yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Awesome. I think we're live. Okay, that's it. Welcome everyone to the CI/CD UX meeting. We have a couple of FYIs added to the agenda. I'm going to just quickly read them because I think they're relevant for the ones that are not in the call today. I'm dropping at 5:30. That's not super relevant to people that are not here right now, but I'm double booked today. So I see that we don't really have a lot of items in the agenda, so we might be able to finish a bit earlier. And Nadia Udalova, it's on PTO from the 23rd of this month until her last day. Her last day is actually October 30th. And if you need something from her next week, make sure that you ping her so that she can come back on it on Friday. And Vitika is going to be the interim product designer for Testing and Runner. Thank you, Vitika. That's awesome. And Ian also is going to cover for progressive delivery after Dimitri's departure in November. So a lot of overlapping work coming next. So that's super exciting. And Ian is also out of office next week. And Laurie, you're also out of office. Thanksgiving, eh? Is it?
No, not yet. No, our election is November 3rd, so I might be taking the 4th off too. We'll see how it goes. And then it's just the next week is just, I got to get away. So the Thanksgiving is the 4th Thursday of every November. So that'll be later in the month.
So end of the month. Awesome. That's it for FYIs. I'm going to jump to the next topic. That's actually mine. So I just want to share the on release management, the learnings and the recap of our 3-year vision. Dimitri is not here today, but it would be awesome to get his insights later on the process. And I just want to share a little bit how it went for us. I think it took around maybe 2 milestones for us to get to the first phase done. And what I wanted to highlight here is a little bit of the steps that we took and what worked for us and what didn't. And I already discussed this a little bit with, especially with you girls, with Nadia in the issue for Verify for CI. But for us, what was really important was that PMs were guiding the vision. So we had, I think you also had these calls with the PMs and also Jason, where they brainstormed the ideas and then really went like super big with the vision for CD and where do we want to be not only in 3 years, but like in 5 years from now. And after that super confusing call, because then you get all this information that is super difficult to digest, we defined the scope and then we set the due dates, which was September. And actually we missed that deadline at first. But from there, another thing that really helped was that the PMs documented the vision in the handbook, even though we didn't really have the design or like deliverables, anything ready. It was added to the handbook what was the shared vision between release management and progressive delivery. So as a designer, I could always go back to that one page and try kind of reassure what I was doing with the 3-year vision. And there's a document linked to this main epic here. Let me actually share my screen quickly so that the others can see what I'm showing. There's an epic here for the main effort. And I think we had like maybe 6-8 different flows and ideas, but they chose the top 2 flows. So for us, notifications and deployments with runbooks and deployment approvals and feature flags. So they do have a lot of common features. So Dimitri and I divided that and met in person first. Well, we could do that because we're both in the Netherlands. So we met in person to kind of like define the plan, and then we shared the responsibilities. So we worked together on Figma, and we decided to go high fidelity from the beginning because we didn't want to go back to this later on. The idea and the main goal is that product wanted to have this Figma file as assets that they could show to marketing, they could show to sales, and not only to potential customers, but also while doing, customer interviews to kind of just give them a taste of what CD is going to look like. Right now, or up to that point, Jackie had like Word documents with tables and kind of like, you know, the super low fidelity of iframes that she was using. And then we just wanted to convey the story in a different way. So we prototyped those two flows that you see here in Figma. And from there, Dimitri and I met with them. We scheduled like some milestones that we could review it with them. And they also left their feedback here in Figma on the fly. And yeah, that's pretty much it. After everything was done, we made this a clickable prototype, and they added the final version to the handbook page. So kind of supporting the release vision. We have also the Figma prototypes that customers and, well, pretty much anyone, they can go now and see. It's two flows. As I said, it's only part of the story. But I think that what worked for us was really, you know, not trying to kind of reinvent the wheel in the sense of using different UI components or like, you know, fixing anything in the product. It's really about showing how it would look like on GitLab today. So for example, runbooks. And from here, it's where we're going to, in a way, start a conversation with our developers to see how can we break this into an actual deliverable and what do we need to change to make this come true. That's it. And then next step, PMs are going to record a walkthrough based on our prototypes, and then they're gonna share it with customers the way I mentioned. And I see Davidka made some comments here. I'm gonna stop sharing if you want to vocalize that.
Okay, so one question that I had, Hannah, was like, what was the, I mean, how ambitious did you get with the prototypes? Since this was a 3 years thing, so like, what was the height of the ambitiousness of this whole mockup?
I think the mockups, they're ambitious in a sense, but they are, how can I put that? Like, as I say, they don't reinvent the wheel. So our ambitions here is really to look at the items that, if you look at the direction pages, for example, for release management and progress delivery, you can actually pinpoint some of this UI, some of the UI that we built to things that we're going to build this year or next year. So it's really like related to things that we are either currently validating or that we're going to validate soon or we're going to build soon. So when it comes, for example, to all the overlapping with CI, that's too far ahead. We haven't validated any problems around, you know, yet things that are in probably Laurie's backlog. We don't want to go there. We want to go to things that Jackie has already validated with customers that we know that the market needs, and not necessarily take too many steps ahead. Otherwise, yeah, we're just going to be prototyping until the end of the day, you know.
Right. Another thing that I was curious to know was, I mean, in terms of the features that you have proposed, like, is there a plan on how they are going to progress? Like, do you have a plan chalked out already? I know that things eventually they change, they develop once they're out, once they're released, and customers start to give their feedback. Many things would be altered from there on, but to begin with, do you have a roadmap for each of these features?
We do. And if you look at the, I'm going to link here to the agenda. If you look at the release management UX page, I linked the categories. So release orchestration, release evidence, pages, whatever. And on each category, we talk about the maturity plan. So for example, if I go to release orchestration, let me share my screen again to kind of show you how I reference this back to the overall plan. This is the release orchestration page. So here, for example, we have runbooks are complete. And the next steps for us is group environments, associate group milestone to releases, auto change log for releases. So when we look at the, for example, the prototypes, this is really like something minimal that, you know, is shown, for example, maybe one of these areas. in the prototype. So it's not really about linking or building at least for us, wasn't about building the prototype to feed back in the features, but
Right.
how this small change, for example, or the small feature, binary assets to release would look like in the release page. And release evidence. I think that's a better one. Yeah.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
It's very cool that
No, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, it's very cool that you already have this roadmap for these features, and it's something that I think we don't have. And
Yeah.
one of the reasons is that the way you started working on this, Hayana, like we touched upon this in our one-on-one, it was really driven by product. So those were already validated problems that product managers knew that we want to be solving, and you were giving a task. Okay, now imagine what it might look like. I don't know if it was the same for you, Vitika, but for me, like I really tried to get some direction, and
Right.
I was told to just like look at the competitors and just gather some inspiration and just come up with something completely crazy. So we really came up with something super visionary that really. And that's why Vitika, you started with low fidelity, because it's important that we show that it's so visionary. So it's like our path towards getting it so refined, it's going to be long.
It's going to be really long. That's right. So one thing that I did was I had my one-on-one with Tao today, and I requested her. I mentioned about the conversations we've been having on the issue, and I think it's time that product steps into it and kind of provides us with a direction, because if it still remains in our control, we might. I mean, we have been going crazy with that. We've been going in all directions, I would say. We need to be streamlined now.
Yeah. And even if it's like they want you to be visionary, they have that vision in their heads as well, right? They know the market, they know the product. So I think it's maybe it's an exercise also for them, is to just spill out these ideas and say, this is how it was going to look like in a specific task. For example, I don't know, creating a pipeline and setting up a merge trains and getting notifications and whatever. Just that one flow. How is that going to look like? And then you can kind of think big and go crazy in exploring that on the interface. But to kind of like create the vision for, I don't know, the products just based on the design point of view, I think it's a bit, it's a bit shallow, you know.
Right. And in the process, I noticed one more thing. I don't know, Nadia, you might agree with this, that there are actually some problems that we are trying to solve, both Nadia and I, that would really need a very drastic change in the user flow. I mean, things really have to move from here to there. And those solutions, it would be very difficult to take them into a very small, cut them into very small MVCs, and it would be a very tricky exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we would have to just do it super iteratively and try to still kind of build up somehow the path from the solution that we have today. And we're kind of trying to do that. But yeah, honestly, I wouldn't say it's going super well. Like, just because there's been also so it's a very ambitious undertaking as it is, but also there's the added complexity that now we have two teams, and pipeline authoring team is new, and there's just like lots of kind of misalignment still in the way different people work on the team, and that is making things difficult. Like today we had a 1-hour meeting around the MVC that kind of is leading up to the things that Vitika and I are working on. And even just that first step, no one can agree on what to do. So I wonder, like, what would be the best way to frame this and get this direction from the product? Because just asking honestly didn't work for me. So I'm not sure how to approach this.
Yeah, I hear you. I wondered if it would be better to do maybe like a, I don't know, like if we were all in the office, I'd say let's schedule a half day and let's go in a conference room with a lot of sticky notes and some Sharpies and let's just talk about how we want this thing to be. I think it's a little harder to do that remotely, but still can be done. So maybe it's getting together with your product managers synchronously over Zoom with a mural, and you start brainstorming and not try to keep them to a linear path of you start here and you're going to end up there. Instead, it's let's start taking concepts or ideas or topics and let's talk about those. Where do we want it to go? Where is it today? And then as you build the mural, maybe group those things together in those ideas or those topics, and then step back in another meeting, come back later, a couple of days later, to that billboard again and say, okay, this is what we brainstormed. Now, how does it all fit together? How does that look for the consumer, the user? How does that fit for that software developer? What is their journey? And it may be different journeys for different people, but like, how does that all fit together? And maybe that might help them to come out of all that with like this amazing vision, because it is hard. It's like, oh my God, I don't know where, like, I don't even know how to write a story, let alone finish a story. How do I begin this story? And it's a lot of pressure just to spew it all out at once. So maybe something like that. I don't know, not.
I think this is the step, Laurie, where we would need product's help because
Oh yeah, no, you should not be doing this by yourself. You have to be there with product. Product has to be there with you because they have more domain knowledge, they have more competitor knowledge, they have whatever they have in their head bringing to the conversation. Yeah, this should not be something that you do by yourself at all. It must be a team sport. Get somebody from engineering in there too, because they need to weigh in on, like, just from their perspective, what they see are the problems. Yeah.
That's a great idea, Laurie. Actually, it's something that I was kind of proposing as the next steps for this 3-year vision. So my idea is to first collaborate with Vitica on kind of just asking some questions around the prototypes that we have currently. So just put our flows together and just write out the questions that we have, the gaps that we see, the limitations that we see, and just generally kind of try to set the stage. And then maybe we can address some of those things as we do that, or propose some ideas and solutions. And then we get on a call together with the PMs and the engineers. And I think, yeah, maybe it could be helpful to do something more open-ended like this, where we get together and we just allow everyone to share whatever mess of the ideas that they have. Like, we all have kind of just like really messy ideas at this point. And then together we work on kind of narrowing it down to a more specific vision, because now we're gathering feedback async in the 3-year vision issue. And first of all, not everyone is participating. The PMs, actually, there's been much more feedback from the engineers than from the PMs. And I'm just like, really? So we just got to try it. So we just took our first pass on the vision and boom, that's what we're going to be building. I'm not sure I'm okay with that kind of responsibility and pressure. Like, I would like someone to, validate it somehow.
Yeah. And that's why I said, I think you're going to have to be the organizer of the effort, but tell them, like, you have to be there. Like, you are part of this, you need to be there. And see where it goes and have that conversation with them, because there's value in doing it asynchronously, but there's also value in doing it synchronously. And anytime you're doing like a brainstorming thing, I found that it's just simpler and easier to be able to verbally talk and throw stuff up on the wall or the metaphorical wall, and instead of trying to do it asynchronously. So yeah. And I like your approach about working with Vitica and on the prototypes as well, because I feel like it's like a 3-point thing. You've got different data points you want to capture. So there's a data point about the prototypes and what work has been going so far. Where's that work going? There's a point around the asynchronous communication around like, here's something, what do you guys think? And engineering's weighing in. And then there's that point of, okay, let's bring it all together and let's talk about it at a higher level. And then we can get down and dirty, deeper into it later as we talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just wanted to stress here that I think especially in something like this type of calls that they're gonna last for probably more than 1 hour, it's important to have a facilitator, a DRI, and I would recommend it to be one of the PMs. I added here the link to the first recording or first session for the release video, and it was clear that Jackie was the facilitator. She was really like trying to get that information from audit, trying to get, the ideas from Jason. I could not do that. Like, I don't know how things connect in such a deep level because I don't have the domain knowledge like they do. Like, they were release managers. They work with CI/CD every day. So really make, the DRI clear from the beginning and be there to take notes and to absorb the information. But if they are not pushing this, like if they're not owning this process, I would say give them the monkey because it's their problem too, or it's their problem,
Yeah. And you might run into the problem because like Dove is new to this space, like moving from APM, it's not like a completely different place, but it's new. So he may not have enough domain knowledge. Tal may not have enough domain knowledge either. So you may have to look at someone else to come in to help facilitate it. Jason would be a good person, but there's soon to be no Jason, so that's useless. I don't know how Kenny feels about it, but he might be a good resource to point you to somebody who might be able to serve as that domain knowledge facilitator as well.
This was awesome. Thank you so much for sharing all these thoughts. I'm also gonna ping Jackie to see how else she can contribute there. Maybe she can also help share some of the learnings with the PMs and kind of try to push this a bit forward. Awesome. I'm gonna quickly jump to the next topic. It's about process. We have the UX OKRs, the F21Q4. Please feel free to review them and leave a comment if you see something that it's not clear or that you think could be improved. We still have migration, or we have migration again, of Pajamas components. So I'm going to create the CI/CD UX OKRs once everything is done and once Nadia closes the Q3 OKRs. And as always, you're free to assign things to yourself as per your capacity. I know that I'm not sure how this quarter is going to be with all of us kind of backfilling for everyone. So but please read the OKRs and leave your thoughts. And if anyone has a comment, please vocalize. If not, Lori.
I was just looking at the research team to see if we had any specific OKRs yet. Not yet. Okay, so I, as you probably have known already, ladies, I'm going to step away from being so involved on the day-to-day research activities for everybody and moving more to a strategic viewpoint. And so yesterday I created this epic where all of the currently known to anybody strategic ideas have been captured. I created them all as issues, and this lives in the research project. And Kenny, I think, has gone in there and prioritized those issues as well yesterday or this morning, so that helps. So if you have anything you want to contribute to any of those issues, feel free to get in them and right there in those issues. That's one of the reasons I created the epic, is so we can kind of capture all those discussions there and then capture any overarching discussion around prioritization and effort in the epic itself. So I expect maybe to have another epic later, like as things change. We'll see how it goes, but this is where we're going to start all the discussions and stuff. So as far as I know, I'm going to continue doing the pipeline, the CI adoption work. We've had really a tough time with the recruiting, as you all know. So we will be wrapping it up at the end of this month, which is what we'd hoped, but most likely before Thanksgiving. And then after that, Kenny and I discussed about like looking at the findings, understanding what we now know, hopefully from the research, and then figuring out if there's other opportunities for that particular topic or moving on to the next one in the list. So it's a good place that you can go to keep a watch on all of it. And to also please like add your thoughts and your comments about the stuff too.
Awesome. Thanks for keeping us in the loop, Lori. It's awesome also to see everything listed and kind of have an idea of the effort and everything that's going on. That's awesome.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, look at all the things. But it's good. It's good. I'm glad that we have a place to capture it all because I knew there was stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. Anything else, ladies? We have a retro here. I'm not sure if everyone already replied to the 13.5 milestone. If not, please go ahead and do it. It's important for us to keep track of everything and also help improve our process at the higher level. I got a drop. I'm double booked, but yeah, by all means, let us know if you have anything else. We can keep discussing.
We're good. I don't have anything else, but it was super helpful. Yeah, thanks so much, Cheyenne and Lori, for sharing your ideas. Now I feel much better about the plan moving forward. I really like this idea of having this not cross-team, but cross-functional brainstorm.
Awesome. Super excited. I'm happy that I'm having the chance also to see what's happening, you know?